Hello, welcome to yoga class. Today's class is called Happy Hour Yoga. We're going to move through a series of postures that are going to feel really good in our body and also for our heart and our mind. So for props, I would grab a couple blocks if you have them. If you don't, no worries. You'll be able to get through most of it or maybe even all of class without the blocks. And just let yourself come into a comfortable position as we start to talk about why this type of class is important for our spirit. When you practice yoga, you raise serotonin, oxytocin, and GABA levels in your body. Feeling happy has everything to do with the chemical reactions in your body. Yoga and meditation are a natural way to happiness. So we're going to unplug, breathe, and just enjoy this practice and the movement of today. First off, we're going to start with some inversions. And for this part, I'd like to offer a few different options. Inversions are really important because they are antidepressants. Inversions cause increased extensor tone in the spine that has a positive effect on the limbic cortex. So these are the emotional centers and the frontal cortical functioning in the brain. So if your practice is more advanced, then I recommend you coming into a headstand for your inversion. I know you might be thinking, whoa, a headstand right at the start of practice. Headstands are awesome for getting clarity. So if you're coming into this practice and you've got a lot on your mind, headstands are a really direct way to clear everything because you're so present in the moment in what you're doing. In a headstand, pressure on the crown of the head stabilizes the mood and the emotions. Now, if you've never done a headstand before, don't worry, I've got a tutorial for that you can visit another time. You do not have to worry about doing a headstand at all in your practice. A much more gentle inversion that will be great for a beginner in this practice would be legs up against the wall. There is going to be one other option between these two, between the legs up the wall and the headstand, so stay tuned for that. But if you're just getting started and you want to come into your practice today with something just really gentle, then you're going to shimmy your glutes up to a wall so that you can rest your legs on the wall. This will be a really nice, gentle inversion, and this is a great way to start to open up the hamstrings if your hamstrings are tight. Now, if you'd like a more intermediate option, I'm going to offer you downward facing dog as your inversion to start class. So think about which of those is going to serve you. Legs up the wall, downward facing dog, which I'm about to demonstrate, or you can come into headstand. Whatever level you're at in your practice, take that option. So for downward facing dog, let's start in a tabletop position. In our tabletop position, we want our wrist in alignment with our shoulders, pressing palms to the mat, bones of the arms are stacked, and then we want the knees underneath the hips. Now, before we do anything else, we can take some breath work, moving through extension and flexion of the spine. Spread the fingers wide. As you inhale, let your belly lower towards the mat. And as you exhale, lift your back like a Halloween cat. Inhale, soften the belly, let it lower towards the mat. Exhale, lift your back, create space between the shoulder blades. And take a few more rounds, feeling into the hips, the back, the arms, the shoulders. Just let your head go where it naturally wants to. You don't need to think about positioning your head in any particular way. Just see where it wants to go. Take one more full round, and then we'll find our way back to a neutral tabletop position. Flat back, reaching the crown of the head forward, reaching the tailbone back for some energetic lengthening. Now, in your neutral tabletop position, look at your hands. Pick up one hand at a time and walk your hands one hand placement forward. This is going to give you a little more space to come into your downward facing dog. Now, before you do anything else, check to make sure the fingers are spread wide, palms are firmly pressing to the mat. Then curl your toes. As you curl your toes, lift your hips way up high and then send the hips back. Now, as you send the hips back, think about your body being in the shape of an upside down V. Feel into the legs. Send the chest towards the thighs, taking pressure out of the shoulders. Sending weight into the low body. If your hamstrings are tight, go ahead and bend your knees. And depending on how broad your shoulders are, you might want to open your hands a little wider. Now, in your downward facing dog, you can stay still. You can bend one knee as the opposite leg straightens. I really like this option because I can feel a nice deep stretch going up my straight leg into my hip. And I can tell right away where I'm carrying tension in the body. So just allow yourself to move from side to side if you'd like, or you can stay still. Now, if you're starting to feel the arms building strength and working, know that we're going to transition soon. So go ahead and even out the legs if you're taking your knees to bend one at a time. And then once you find your way to center, slowly walk your feet towards your hands. Take your time. There's no rush. Happy hour yoga. All we need to do is be happy and grateful for this awesome body that lets us move. Now, once your feet walk forward, on your next inhale breath, graze your fingertips towards your feet and then up your legs until your palms meet your shins. We're taking a half lift. See about straightening the legs, reach the crown of the head forward, feel into the hamstrings, back of the legs. And then on your next exhale, let your arms dangle. Now we're coming into a standing forward fold. This is another inversion. So remember, inversions are antidepressants. If you've been feeling gloomy, I know for myself, when it becomes cold outside, I start to get that seasonal affective disorder, and coming into inversions is a great way to just find getting happy again and letting that gloominess just go. Now, notice if you want your arms to dangle, or you can take the option of taking your hands to opposite elbows and then framing your head with your arms. I really like this option because I can get more traction for the spine. So here we're letting the spine decompress. This is one of my favorite stretches to do when I first get out of bed in the morning. If you're a crazy sleeper like I am and roll around and toss and turn and make weird shapes with your body, this is a great way to get rid of the compression and create space between the vertebrae. Now, notice what your head and your neck is doing. You might shake your head gently from side to side as a reminder to relax the head. You want the crown of the head pointing down towards the mat. Remember, if the hamstrings are tight, you can bend your knees. If your hamstrings are really open, you can bring your feet together and then take your hands to your ankles, pull your torso towards your legs, or maybe you take your arms behind your legs, bringing your forehead towards your knees. Now, if you've tried that and that's just too intense, you can back out of it. Come back to one of the other options. Serve yourself and give yourself this time to open the back of the body. Legs can stay still, or you can bend one knee at a time, just like you did in your down dog. Just let yourself explore and feel into the body and what it needs today from your practice. Anytime you decide that you need to get happy, know that by coming into forward folds, this is an opportunity to relax. So anytime you're feeling tense, come into a fold. Know that they can relax your body and just let the stress go. Now, if your hands are on your elbows, go ahead and release. We're going to take a couple more variations of our forward fold. For the next two, we're going to heel toe the feet together. So looking at your feet, bring your big toes together and just leave a little space between the heels, maybe an inch or so. Once you have your feet together, bring your hands in front of your feet. Now, if your palms don't meet the mat like mine do, don't worry. Maybe your fingertips meet the mat. Or maybe this is a great opportunity to invite the blocks into your practice, positioning the blocks under your hands. And in this way, you can bring the floor up to you. Maybe you have one block per hand, or maybe you're using one block for both hands. Try different options, see what your body likes, and then choose that. Now, with your hands in front of your feet, whether your hands are on the block or not, go ahead and take a deep bend in your left knee. Now, as you bend the left knee, keep the right leg straight. This might be enough sensation for you, or you might twist over to the left, bringing your fingertips or your palms to the pinky side of your left foot. Remember, deep bend in the left knee, right leg is straight. Relax the head. Hold and breathe. Exhale, open the mouth, take a sigh of relief. Couple more rounds. One more round of breath. And as you exhale, deeply bend the right knee. Now both knees are bent. Walk your hands in front of your feet. Come back to center. Inhale, take a half lift, straighten both legs. Exhale, back to your forward fold. Now, setting up on the other side, we're now going to take a deep bend in the right knee. Give yourself a moment to feel into this side. Now, be aware that this side might feel really different. That's okay. Just meet the body where it is today. Option to stay here, or you can walk the fingertips or the palms to the pinky side of the right foot. Remember, deep bend in the right knee, left leg is straight. Relax the head and just breathe. Letting go with each exhale. Feeling so much happiness and joy for this time to explore your practice and move your body, shifting the energy around. On your next exhale, bend the left knee. Now both knees are bent. Walk your hands in front of your feet. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Now as you fold this time, see if you can straighten the legs more. See how the hamstrings feel. Getting some really nice hamstring opening in our practice today. This is a part of the body that a lot of people have really tight. Remember, if your hamstrings are really, really tight, you want to start with legs up the wall. I recommend doing that for 10 minutes a day. Now, looking at your feet, we're going to take one more variation of forward fold. Pick up your right foot, cross your right ankle behind your left ankle. You might need to shimmy the hands slightly over to the left to get back to center. Inhale, take a half lift. See if you can straighten your legs as much as possible. And then exhale, fold. Now, as you come into the fold, if you want to challenge yourself more, you can walk your hands closer to your feet. If you want to challenge yourself even more, think about bringing your forehead towards your legs. Hold and breathe. Feel the balancing. Let your body shift around, finding a center point. Let your hands support you by touching the mat or the blocks. On your next inhale, take a half lift. Step the right foot over beside the left and then fold. Notice the left leg. Notice the right leg. And then inhale, half lift. Pick up the left foot, cross the left ankle behind the right. Shimmy the hands slightly to the right if you need to. Keeping the legs as straight as possible as you exhale, fold. Find the balance. Option to walk your hands closer towards your feet. Option to bring your chest closer to your legs. Nice deep stretches for the back, the legs, and the hips. Slowly and carefully coming out on the next inhalation. Take a half lift. Exhale, step the left foot beside the right and fold. From here, we'll bend the knees. And as you bend the knees, know that we're going to transition back onto the mat. So I'm going to come into a kneeling position by coming onto my shins. You can come onto your seat in a different way, especially if you have discomfort at your knees in this position. And just know that we're going to ground down from our standing forward fold down to the mat, because we're going to start to work on some seated folds. Because the folds are so relaxing and calming to the body, I want to give you some seated options which are going to really help you, especially on days where your balance might feel a little bit off and you might not want to do the standing versions. So for the first seated forward fold, we're going to come into what's called Paschimottanasana. You'll bring your feet out to one side and then extend your legs forward. Now, as you bring your legs forward, let your feet come together. I recommend taking your left hand to your left glute, pull the flesh back as you lean to the right, and then do that on the right side. Leaning to the left, take the right hand to pull the flesh back. Feel yourself more grounded in your sits bones. Then take your hands outside of your hips. On your next inhale, sweep the arms up, fingertips towards the sky. Now our body's in the shape of an L. As you exhale, hinge at the hips, bring your torso towards your legs. Now, we want to keep the legs grounded. Let your hands float down. Maybe the hands gently rest outside of the legs. Maybe you take your blocks to position underneath your forearms. If you're more flexible today, you might reach your hands to your ankles, or you might reach your hands to your feet. If you're really flexible in the hamstrings and the back, you might take a block to your feet, grab onto the block with your hands, and then fold deeper. Now we want this stretch to be more passive, so don't try to reach or pull too much. The important thing is keeping the legs grounded. The deeper you fold, the more you're going to feel a stretch. Same thing that we just did, but now we've got a little more control because we've got more surface area. With each exhale, see about folding a little deeper. Maybe close your eyes and check in and see where you feel the most sensation in your body. That is likely where you're most tight. Stay with the pose as long as you're not feeling pain or major discomfort. And again, if you're holding your head up, relax your head. Let it go. Continue to fold. Continue to give your body this time of deep opening. Give yourself a moment to find your breath. Practice inhaling deeply through the nostrils. Exhale for a slow release. Continue to bring all of your attention to your breath. Notice the quality of your breath. Long, slow inhalation, followed by a long, slow exhalation. Take a couple more rounds of breath. Notice if you can fold a little deeper. And then on your next inhale, slowly start to lift out. Imagine that you're lifting the crown of your head up towards the sky. Give yourself time to come back to that neutral spine. Now from here, we're going to continue with our folding. This time, instead of serving the hamstrings, we're going to open the legs wider so that as we're stretching the back, we're also stretching the inner thighs. So you can decide if you want to open your heels the width of the mat for a more gentle stretch, or you can take the option that I'm going to demonstrate, which is going to be wider legs. So I'm going to open the legs far apart from each other. You want to open them as far as you can, but not to the point where the legs are going to lift up. You want to keep them grounded. Now, before we come into our forward fold, know that props can support you. You might have the blocks close to you. I'll demonstrate how you can use them if you'd like. We're going to take the forward fold with the feet relaxed, but before we fold, let's give an opportunity to stretch out the feet and get some mobility for the ankles. So as you inhale, point your toes away from each other. Feel a deep stretch at the tops of the feet. And then as you exhale, flex the feet. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex. And we're going to take one more round. Inhale, point the toes. Exhale, flex the feet. Now just let the feet relax. Maybe you just rock them from side to side a couple times. Let the feet naturally go where they want to. On your next inhale, reach the crown of your head up. And as you exhale, walk your hands forward. So the idea is to walk your hands forward enough to where you feel a stretch at the inner thighs. You might even come onto your forearms. If you're really flexible, your torso might come all the way down. Your forehead might meet the ground. Or you might take a block to support your forehead. If you've got a lot of lift, you might take one block to support under the ribs and the other block to support the forehead. So now the blocks are bringing the floor up to us rather than us worrying about holding our bodies up in space. Nice deep stretch for the inner thighs, the hamstrings, the hips. And the lower you go, the more you'll feel the stretch in the back. Don't worry about coming into your fullest stretch. Let your body ease into the shape. And the longer you hold and breathe here, the more you might notice the ability to fold a little deeper as you exhale. So check in, see if that's available. And allow yourself this time to feel into the body, to let the tension release, to let the stagnant energy go. Creating space. Take another full round of breath here. On your next inhale, slowly lift the head. Exhale, slowly walk the hands towards the body, taking your time to find that neutral spine. There's no rush here. We're gonna keep this theme because we've got one more seated forward fold, but we're gonna change the shape of our legs again. So this time you can take your hands under your knees, drag your heels towards your body, bring the soles of your feet to meet, and then let the knees splay out. Now, as you do this, those of you that have really open hips, you might want to bring the heels closer to your body. If you've got any knee issues or your hips are tight, then send the feet further away. Now, if your hips are really tight, you can take the blocks or folded up blankets or pillows underneath the thighs. That way you're not holding your legs up and holding on to tension, but you can fully relax the legs. Know that when you fold forward, the knees are gonna lower down. So just check and see what's happening as you fold, because you might wanna remove the blocks. Now the hands can wrap around the feet or the fingers can wrap around the toes. You decide what you like for your practice. When you're ready to come into this Baddha Konasana or bound angle pose, inhale, reach the crown of your head up, and then as you exhale, fold forward. And as you fold forward, feel the sensation in the back. Feel sensation at the inner thighs. Know that you're getting external rotation for the hips. Your forearms might rest on the low legs, or you might bring your forearms down to the mat. Try different options. See what your body likes, and then offer that to yourself. If at any point you feel uncomfortable or that you've gone a little too deep, know that you can back out as much as you want or need to. And when you find that sweet spot, bring all of your awareness to your breath. Practice lengthening the breath. Practice surrendering to the pose with each exhale. Know that we're going to prepare to slowly and carefully come out. On the next inhale, we'll lift the head up. Take your time, coming back to that straight spine. Now from here, you can keep your legs as they are for just a moment, or you can reposition them if you need to. At this point, we're going to move from our seated forward folding, our relaxing postures, into heart opening postures. Heart openers are awesome for reducing anxiety. The chest expansion, back bend creates a sense of fearlessness. It exposes our heart in a way that's safe and supported. So for our first heart opening posture, we're going to come into supported fish. Now we're going to need blocks, or if you don't have blocks, you can use a pillow or a rolled up blanket. So for the more gentle option, I recommend taking the short ends of the blocks together and then positioning them at one end of your mat. Those are going to go underneath your shoulder blades, so you're going to face away from the blocks as you set up. Now the knees can be bent, or you can extend the legs. You'll walk the hands back, maybe holding onto the blocks so that you can find the right spot of getting the shoulder blades on the blocks. Ladies, think about bra strap area. And then the arms are going to come out to the sides. So we've got a gentle lift to the chest. If you're really tight in this area, this might be your starting point. Now, if you're in this and you don't feel very much sensation at all, I'm going to give you a deeper, more intense option. So if you want that, watch how I change the blocks. One block is going to be to support my head. You might want that, you might not. The second block is now going to come to the mid-height, and we want the spine of the block underneath our spine. So think mid to upper back. You don't want the block on your neck or your low back. So place it behind you, hold on to it. Think about where you think it's best positioned for your mid to upper back without coming onto the neck. And as you slowly lower your spine onto the spine of the block, think about getting the edges of the block near the scapula where we hold a lot of stress and tension. Now, if you've got tension at your neck, you might rotate the block under your head to a higher height. The students that I have with neck and head issues like to take the block to the highest height, so maybe you try that. We're still getting a really nice lift at the chest. Remember, the knees can stay bent with the heels in line with the glutes. We want the tailbone grounded, or you can straighten the legs. Now, if you open the arms with the wrist in line with the shoulders, feel into the shoulders. If you feel at any point tingling or numbness in the arms, then I want you to bring the arms back towards the body. The reason why is because that could be a nerve that's being compressed, and we don't want to cause nerve damage. Alternatively, if you don't feel that and you feel safe, then you might gently glide the hands up and then down. For someone like me that's got knots in this area, when I take this gentle shoulder opening movement, I can feel the edges of the blocks pressing into the knots, and I'm giving myself a self-massage. But you want to keep your hands low to protect your shoulders. So you can take that movement, or you can simply let the arms ground down. Whichever option is working for you. Offer yourself time to breathe into this shape. If you're in the more intense option and you feel like you're ready to come out, know that you can come into that lower option. And take a couple more rounds of breath. Slowly and carefully coming out. If the legs are straight, bend the knees. Feel the soles of the feet to the mat, heels in line with the glutes. If your arms are out by your sides, just gently bring the arms down. I like to rotate my palms down, and then I like to slide the elbows towards the shoulders. Use your energy to lift your head, maybe pause here, and then press hands to the mat, lifting your back off the block. Now, remove the blocks off the mat, giving yourself this free space. And then come back into your seat. Simply notice right now how your back feels, how your spine feels. We're going to give ourselves some time. This neutral spine. So ground down, hips connected to the mat, and at the same time that you're rooted in your seat, feel the crown of your head rising up towards the sky. Straight spine. If you feel your shoulders are coming forward or you're rounding your spine, try to position your shoulders above your hips and your ears above your shoulders. Now, if you're not really sure how that feels, I want to show you a little trick that I learned several years ago that I really love. You're going to take your index fingers and your thumbs to your ears. Imagine that someone is standing behind you, pulling your ears back. Feel the crown of your head rising up. Feel the spine lengthen. Now, hold this shape in your upper body and just release your hands. Gently bring your palms down to your thighs. Axial extension for the spine. Relax the shoulders. Let them melt away from the ears. Relax the legs. Remember that you can support your legs with any props if you need to, especially if the hips are tight. Now we're going to come into a seated cat-cow, continuing to open the heart, continuing to reduce any anxiety that might be floating around in your physical body. So you can continue to keep your palms grounded on your thighs, or alternatively, you can take one hand to your heart center and the other hand on top. So you can feel your heart moving with each breath. Now, when you're ready to inhale, you're going to send your heart forward. Feel a gentle back bend in the spine. And when you're ready to exhale, bring the shoulders forward, belly button towards the spine, now rounding. Inhale, open the heart, send it forward. Exhale, round the spine. This is a great breath work technique anytime you're feeling frazzled and you need to get back into balance. Here we're practicing letting the movement follow the breath. Inhale, open the heart, shine it forward. Send out love and compassion. Exhale, bring the heart in, bringing love and compassion into yourself. Move with the breath. Mobility for the spine. Finish off this round and then make your way into a neutral spine. Release the hands, let the hands rest to the thighs. Now, with our heart opening, we're gonna now combine that with a release for the psoas muscle. This is gonna be in a knee down lunge. Before we get there, know that we're gonna incorporate shoulder opening, chest opening, and heart opening. Now, the psoas release is really important because this is one of the deepest muscle groups in the body. This muscle group has been discovered to affect our mood and health, and this is known as the muscle of the soul. So as we let go of fear, we're also going to continue to keep that heart open, cultivating love and compassion. I do recommend the blocks for this one, and we're going to start this one by coming into a kneeling position. So let's transition from our seat back into tabletop that we explored at the start of our practice. Once we find our positioning for tabletop, then we're going to take the blocks underneath our hands. This is going to give us much more lift so that we can bring one foot forward at a time for the psoas and heart opening. So I'm going to start off by taking my blocks a little wider than shoulder distance. From here, I'll bring 1 foot forward. So I'm going to start with my right side. I'm going to lift my right knee. As I lift my knee, I'm going to hug it in towards my chest as much as I can. Then I'm going to flex my foot so that as I bring my foot forward, my toes don't drag. Now, position the sole of your foot to the mat, and as you do this, press the hips forward. Now, we don't want the upper body dumping forward, so we're going to walk the blocks back, stabilize here, check to make sure that your right knee is tracking above your right ankle. Now, if you need to force stability, you can stay with your hands on the blocks and just practice the psoas opening at the front of the left hip. If you want to incorporate the heart opening to reduce anxiety, then you're going to take your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers, press your palms together, open your heart, gaze up to the ceiling, take a little back bend, feel a deeper opening at the hip, feel the extension in the spine. Send out all the love and compassion that you have to share. And then exhale, release. Take the hands back to the blocks. From here, gently switching it up, coming to the other side, we're going to take the hips back so that the left hip is above the left knee. Slide the right foot back. Position the right knee in line with the left, knees or hip distance. You can keep the hands here at the blocks. Now, coming into the left side, remember to help you bring the foot forward in a less awkward transition. You're going to lift your left knee, hug it into the chest as much as you can. Then flex your foot, lifting the toes, step your left foot forward, feel the sole of the foot connect down, and then press your hips forward. As you press your hips forward, if your knee is coming past your toes, you can shimmy your foot forward to get the alignment of the knee above the ankle. Press your hips forward. Now feel the opening at the front of the right hip flexor, the psoas muscle, letting the fear go, muscle of the soul. And then we can take an opportunity to open our heart, reducing anxiety. Take your hands off the blocks, interlace your fingers, press your palms together, straighten the arms. Little back bend, maybe you gaze up. And a little trick here to help with your stability is to press the top of your back foot into the mat. Don't forget to breathe. And on your next exhale, gently release the hands. Bring the hands to the blocks. And then we're going to prepare to transition out. So we're going to take the hips back so that the right hip is above the right knee. And then we're slowly going to slide the left foot back. Bring the left knee in line with the right. Now, we're going to come onto our belly into a prone position. From here, we're going to abandon the blocks, just set them out to the side, walk your hands forward, and when you're comfortable, bend your elbows, lower your belly and your thighs to the mat. Come onto your forearms, or maybe you open your elbows wide, stack one hand on top of the other, position your forehead onto your hands, and offer yourself a few rounds of breath. Anytime we're on our belly, it's a prone position. As you inhale, you can feel your belly pressing to the mat. As you exhale, you can feel your belly soften. This is a great massage for your digestive tract, helping things to move along. Let's take another round of breath here. On your next inhale, lift your head and come onto your forearms. Now, as you come onto your forearms, think about positioning your elbows underneath your shoulders. Depending on your back, you might feel a sensation. If you're tipping your head back, that's going to cause compression in the cervical spine. So gaze down to the mat. Now we're going to come back into the psoas, the muscle of the soul, taking an opportunity to release fear, letting things go, releasing out of our being, getting back to our happy hour, enjoying our practice, enjoying our body. Starting with the left side, bend the left knee, bring the left knee out, and then look to see if you can bring your knee in line with your hip. Then look to your foot. Open your foot out so you can bring your ankle in line with your knee. Then turn your head to gaze forward again. Feel the sensation at the front of the right hip. You can stay here if you want a more gentle option. If you want to go deeper, you can press palms to the corners of the mat, lift the belly, arms are straight. Now, if you feel discomfort in your low back, come back down onto your forearms. So for me, this is safer. I've got a spinal limitation. So this is better for my body, and I'm going to honor my body because I want it to be safe and healthy. From here, we're going to take an opportunity to get a spinal twist to detoxify, to get rid of what we just don't need anymore. So look at your right hand. Rotate your right fingers towards your left elbow and then reach your right hand behind your left arm. At the same time, slide the left knee up so that you can connect your right hand to the back of the knee. Lower the right side of your head to the mat. As you inhale, reach your left fingers up. And as you exhale, open the left arm out. Spinal twist variation. This is one of my favorite ways to spinal twist. You can get a really great shoulder stretch, chest opener. I'm still working with the heart area. Simply notice how the spine feels, how the back feels in this shape. Know that in the spinal twist, We're promoting a healthy release. On your next inhale, reach your left fingers straight up. Exhale, take your left palm down. Release your right hand from the back of your knee. Use your energy to lift your torso, pressing your left hand to the mat. Come back onto the forearms. Straighten the left leg. Come back onto your belly. Take a full round of breath here. Inhale through the nostrils. Exhale, open the mouth, let it go. Coming into the other side. Starting off by bending the right knee. Bring the right knee out to the right. Look over, check to make sure you can bring the knee in line with the hip, and then open the foot out, ankle in line with the knee. Then bring your head back to forward, gazing forward. All you need to do is hold, breathe, feel sensation at the front of the left hip. Feel so much gratitude. Know that you're serving your body, letting go of congestion and any tightness or junk that we've got in the body, allowing ourselves to feel open, joyful, and happy. The more you practice, the more you'll learn that just by moving your body, you can shift your energy, and it's really awesome. Now from here, we're going to transition to our spinal twist. So looking at your hands, lift your left hand, bring your left fingers towards your right elbow, and then reach your left hand behind your right arm. Slide the right knee up, make the connection, lower onto the left side of your head. As you inhale, reach your right fingers straight up. And as you exhale, open the right arm out, spinal twist. Back to an opportunity of detoxifying. Anytime we come into spinal twist, we're wringing out the organs, much like you would do with a sponge when you're wringing the water out. Cleansing and detoxifying. Letting go. On the next inhalation, let the right fingers rise up as if you're reaching for the sky. Exhale, bring the right palm down. Release the left hand from the back of the knee. Use your energy to press the right palm to the mat. Lift the torso. Come onto the forearms. Now re-lengthen that right leg. Feel your belly connect to the mat. Take a full round of breath. Inhale, belly presses to the mat. Exhale, sigh of relief. From here, send the elbows out. Stack one hand on top of the other. Bring your forehead to your hands, using your hands as a pillow. And then just feel more neutral spine. Feel the body relax and ground down. Know that you've really served your body by simply taking movement, taking time for your practice, an act of self-love. When you're ready, gently lift your head from your hands. Position your hands under your shoulders, pressing palms to the mat. Use your energy to lift your hips and at the same time straighten your arms, pushing the mat away. From here, you can walk your knees towards your hands or your hands towards your knees, feet and legs to one side. We're coming back into a seated position. So we're coming towards the close of our practice today, but we are going to spend a little bit of time in a meditation pose and talking about why this is important. So when you start a meditation practice, it's a really good idea, in my opinion and other people's opinions, to do this at the end of your physical practice, because in your physical practice, you've given your body an opportunity to get the wiggles out so that you can then sit in meditation for a longer amount of time. We're just going to try a very short meditation today so that you can see how this feels for you at the end of your practice. If you don't want to do that, you can stop the video now, no problem whatsoever. If you are interested in learning a little bit about this, I want to show you another position, and this is actually my favorite position to sit in meditation. I take 2 blocks. You can achieve this with pillows or blankets. And then I stack the blocks. So you can have 1 block or 2, but I'm bringing them to the lowest height. And then rather than having my legs in front like this, I actually come into a kneeling position. Now, notice my body in this kneeling position, there's a lot of compression for the knees. If I take the blocks between my legs and sit on the blocks and let my feet hug the blocks, then I'm opening the angle at the knees, and that's more comfortable for the knees. Also, my hips are higher up. I find in my body, in my practice, that I can keep my spine straighter for a longer amount of time when I sit like this to meditate versus when my hips are grounded all the way down. So you can try this and know that if the edges of the block feel uncomfortable in your body, you can position a blanket on top to make it a little more cushy. So whatever you choose to do, however you choose to sit, come into that now. Feel that straight spine. So again, think about reaching the crown of the head up towards the sky. If you have a tendency to activate your arms, soften the elbows. Just let the arms be passive. Relax the shoulders. Let the shoulders melt away from the ears. Imagine that you have a weighted blanket on your shoulders that's sending them away from the ears. And then let the hands relax. They can be on the thighs. You can take a hand mudra if you prefer. Just come into stillness. Now, as you come into stillness, know that we're just going to be here for a few minutes, not very much time at all, so don't stress. Let your eyes close, bringing your gaze inward. Inhale deeply through the nostrils. Exhale, open your mouth, take a sigh of relief. Know that in this time, we're practicing our breath awareness, lengthening the breath to calm our nervous system so that we can down-regulate as we sit in stillness. Meditation is a great way to cleanse the mind and empty out any mental garbage. As we practice, if anything comes up, any persistent thoughts, practice sending them away just as easily as they arrive. If you need something to focus on, just keep coming back to the quality of your breath. Know that I'm going to give you a little space to explore meditation in silence, but don't worry. You'll hear the sound of my voice coming back shortly. Take a deep inhalation through the nostrils. Exhale, open the mouth, sigh of relief. Try that again. Inhale deeply. Exhale, feel the shoulders relaxing away from the ears. Continue to breathe in this way. And simply by spending this time in meditation, we're providing profound rest to our physiology. Rest is nature's way of dissolving stress and anxiety. Just breathe. When you're ready, gently start to flutter the eyes open, coming back into the space, staying in your meditation pose. If you're interested in meditation, you don't have to do it for 3 hours or 90 minutes. You can simply do it for 3 minutes. Think about how you start your day. You don't leave your house without brushing your teeth. So why do we leave our house without brushing our mind? Mental health is just as important as our physical health. The human body is designed to sleep. But what happens in our culture is that sometimes stress is often carried over from day to day and we don't get a sufficient amount of sleep, or we don't sleep well. So find your way to meditation whenever you need to de-stress. Find your way to movement anytime you feel that you need to get happy and shift the energy. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate your presence. I am, as always, deeply honored to guide you in this beautiful practice. Thank you. Namaste.